So today is Friday, June 1st, 2018, and we are getting very close to the 2018 midterm elections. And as I do every month, I'm going to be doing an updated Senate prediction on the first day of the month leading up into the midterm election. So 23 Democrats solidly in their column, obviously, because they are not up for re-election, and 42 Republicans. And I'm going to start filling this in. I'm not going to do it based off a shaded region, meaning leaning, likely, and safe. I'm just going to do it purely off of which state would vote for which respective party. So starting off in the I apologize. I'm thinking about how I should do this. I normally start off on the West Coast, but now I'm actually going to do it using the poll closing format, which is pretty interesting. The way I'm going to do it is go through 7 o'clock p.m. poll closing. So like Indiana, Kentucky, obviously Kentucky not a race, Virginia, Vermont, and then go into 7:30 and then lead throughout the United States. So the first state we're going to talk about is the state of Indiana. So that one is a pure toss-up, actually. I don't want to fill that one in just yet. We'll come back to that one because it needs a lot more attention than just one click. Virginia, though, easily in the Republicans column. They really do not see a prominent frontrunner, and the hotly contested GOP primary is not going to be good for them. And especially since Tim Kaine is extremely popular, Hillary Clinton won here in 2016 in a Trump wave year, there's not much hope for Republicans in that state. Vermont, again, not much hope for them either for multiple reasons, just pretty much how democratic the state is itself. And then we move on to 7:30. So West Virginia, we're also not going to fill in, but Ohio, I see going to Sherrod Brown. I made a video on this before where I believe Sherrod Brown would pretty easily hold on to the state of Ohio and win another 6-year term. So there's not much trouble for him there, especially with a not as good GOP opponent as they could have had. They could have had Josh Mandel. Obviously, he didn't choose to go into the primary, and we had another GOP nominee instead. So 26 Democrats, 42 Republicans. So now we're moving into 8 p.m. So we have a couple swing states. Mississippi and Mississippi special election easily go to the Republicans. We really do not see a possibility for Mike Espy to win in that Senate special election. But Tennessee, that one is going to be hotly contested. We're not going to touch it just yet. Missouri, another hotly contested state. We're not going to fill it in just yet. But going up across the Northeast, we know this area is predominantly going to vote for Democrats. That's just how it is. And, besides governor races, this is solid Democratic territory. If you look at the congressional districts, Democratic territory. You look at the county map, Democratic territory. And 44 Republicans, 32 Democrats. So let's just keep looking. So the state of Maine, that one is probably going to go to Angus King. The state senator on the GOP side really doesn't have a shot at winning in a Democratic wave year. But this puts the Democrats at 33 seats, the Republicans 44, clearly the advantage with the Republicans. And then 8:30 rolls around. Arkansas closes the House races, which we are not covering, so that one isn't going to be talked about. And then we move on to 9 p.m. So Texas, that one is another swing state. We're not going to come back to it. It's pretty weird for me because a number of these states that I typically fill in really easily on an electoral map, I'm not filling in now. So Wyoming and Nebraska, easy Republican states, easy Republican holds. North Dakota, again, another swing state. And Florida, yet again, another swing state, but New York, a little bit for the Democrats. And then we move over to Minnesota. Minnesota at large is easily going to go for the Democrats. But when it comes to the special election, it could get a little bit close, but the Democrats are probably going to hold on to it. They're going to hold on to the entire Rust Belt. All indications show a Democratic victory in every single one of these states. My bad. I'm pretty famous, guys, getting FaceTime calls. I'm just kidding. But yeah, regardless, I apologize for that. But the point that the Rust Belt is, turning its tides and becoming a more let me turn down the volume so that doesn't happen again, is becoming a more Republican area. Yes, maybe on a presidential level, we could see a little bit more Republican tendencies just based off the shift, but we are comparing it to Obama numbers in 2008 where it was he overperformed for Democrats, so it seems like each recurring year is getting less and less for Democrats. Yes, there was a swing from 2012 to 2016, but I don't think it's enough to make impacts on these elections with popular incumbent senators or senators that are already polling double digits ahead of their possible Republican opponents. So 39 Democrats, 46 Republicans. Now we're going to start looking. So 10 p.m. rolls around. Actually, I didn't talk about New Mexico. New Mexico goes to the Democrats. I really don't see a possibility for a GOP pickup, but Arizona, that one's going to be talked about a lot as well. Again, I'm not comfortable filling that in for each party just yet. But 10 p.m. rolls around, Utah goes. I mean, it could have only been close if Orrin Hatch was the nominee. Utah goes to the Republicans. Montana, again, a toss-up state, but I'm going to put that one in the Democratic column. I'm comfortable enough to call Montana before I can call Indiana, West Virginia, Missouri, North Dakota, because Montana, again, no prominent GOP frontrunner. Then Nevada rolls around again, another swing state, not comfortable filling it in just yet. And then 11 p.m., Washington, California, and Hawaii easily go to the Democrats. So now we're starting to see a more contested race. 44 Democrats, 47 Republicans. The balance of power is up in the air. So starting off with one of the first few states, the state of Indiana. Joe Donnelly, he could narrowly edge this one out. With the impending Democratic wave, yes, there could be a couple red ripples, but they're not at an all-time high when it comes to Democrats, meaning they're not at an all-time high when it comes to the, when it comes to the congressional national ballot. They could do pretty well when it comes to statewide elections, which is what I think they're going to do in Indiana. But when it comes to House districts, their numbers are dwindling. Before I was like the House, easier than the Senate. But now we're starting to see a little bit more of a shift in the Senate, especially with that whole scandal going on in Missouri. We'll talk about it in just a moment. Democrats definitely have a better shot at the Senate now, but not better than the House, but a much better shot than they did a month ago or 2 months ago. So 45 Democrats, 47 Republicans. Indiana, Mike Braun is a prominent GOP frontrunner, but again, in a Democratic wave year, Joe Donnelly could narrowly edge this one out. Yes, it's probably going to get extremely close, and it's probably going to be closer than most people thought, but again, I think a Democrat could edge this one out. West Virginia happens. Joe Manchin's probably going to carry this one. His approval rating is not too high right now. It actually dropped. West Virginia. Patrick Morrisey isn't the most approved of candidate either. It's not easy for his column either, and he is a Republican going against a conservative Democrat. Conservative Democrats really outline the spirit of West Virginia. We're not talking about a solid Republican state when it comes to statewide elections. Keep in mind, a Democrat was elected governor the same ballot as Donald Trump was elected president. So these aren't just down ballot voters. West Virginia is going to be one of those few states where we could see a little bit of silver lining for Democrats in solid Republican states where typically people would expect it to flip, which it probably will not. And then we're going to move on to the state of Missouri. The governor resigning. That is something that's really going to hurt Josh Hawley. He is closely tied to the governor. He's the Missouri Attorney General. I mean, he's under his administration. That's definitely going to hurt his U.S. Senate campaign. Claire McCaskill is probably going to use that to her advantage. If any of you take a look at her Ladylike book, she elegantly played out 2012 with pitting a Republican candidate she knew she would beat against herself, and everything worked out for her. That might likely be the case in this election. Everything is currently working out for her. Yes, it was close. It was also close in 2012, but right now we could see a downfall of Josh Hawley, but he's probably going to edge out the primary and then eventually lead into his downfall. So keep in mind, this woman is extremely lucky. I mean, all of her races were extremely lucky. Missouri goes to the Democrats very narrowly. North Dakota, Heidi Heitkamp. That one goes to the Republicans. Kevin Cramer, the U.S. Representative at large. Heidi Heitkamp, yes, she is the incumbent. Does she have the type of conservative Democratic backing by the people? In West Virginia, solid Democratic territory in 1992. North Dakota was solid Republican territory in 1992, even though a conservative Democrat was on the ballot, and a conservative Democrat is on the ballot in both states this election season. And now they have a popular Republican incumbent coming in from the representative at large, meaning he solely represents the state in the House of Representatives. He's going to have a hell of a fight from Heidi Heitkamp, but keep in mind she is going to do pretty well, but I think you could narrowly edge this one out just based off previous history. 48 Republicans, 47 Democrats. The balance of power is up. So we're going over to Nevada. This is one of the few Democratic pickups I think could happen. So 48 Democrats to 48 Republicans. I think the Democrats could carry the state of Nevada. I see it going into their column just based off how they voted. History tells us that Nevada is leaning towards the Democrats, and in the Democratic wave year, and Jackie Rosen's popularity and Dean Heller's unpopularity, the entire tides are away from the GOP in this state. The lack of funding, the lack of attention from the president, the actual harm to the senator, we could see Nevada going to the Democrats. But Texas, keeping that in mind, it's probably not going to flip. Yes, it could become a swing state very soon, but Ted Cruz is probably not going to lose the seat. He would have to screw up extremely badly. It is possible for a Democrat to win here, but it's probably not now. It's probably in the future, but not as of today. And then Texas goes, Arizona we'll come back to, Tennessee we'll come back to, Florida. Rick Scott, the incumbent governor, keep in mind he narrowly edged by both of his victories in the years 2010 and 2014 in Republican wave years, meaning he should have won by a much larger margin. And his approval rating is not so good in the state of Florida. He's running against a mildly popular incumbent in an opposing year wave. Everything is against Mr. Rick Scott. So right now, Florida could go to the Democrats. I think it's narrowly in their column. But again, he could turn the tides and actually win here. But keep in mind, this is a state that typically holds on to its incumbents regardless of situations. And this is a Democratic wave year. So we're now at a standpoint where it's 49 Democrats and 49 Republicans. Tennessee, this one is going to be the deciding factor in the majority, and I'm giving that one to the Republicans only based off its previous history. Phil Bredesen, an extremely popular Tennessee governor. Yes, I think he's going to possibly come up and lose by maybe 1% to 2%. I think Marsha Blackburn just has that conservative appeal. She's a representative, meaning she's going to do very well in her home congressional district, and I see her narrowly edging out Phil Bredesen by 1% to 2%. Keep in mind, in a month from now, this could be safe for Phil Bredesen or safe for Marsha Blackburn, but we never know. And as of today, I see it very narrowly going to Marsha Blackburn, and that gives the Republicans the majority in the United States Senate. So 50 Republicans, 49 Democrats. So you might ask, where can the other seat go? So can it go to the Democrats? Can it go to the Republicans? Arizona is a pure toss-up. I'm thinking after everything that's happened on the Republican side, and the Democrats narrowing down in the generic ballot, Arizona, that one's going to be watched a lot. Kristen Sinema, yes, she's an extremely strong candidate, but Martha McSally is also a strong candidate on the GOP side. However, I see if Marsha McSally could win this election if she ran on her own, but Joe Arpaio is going to take away a considerable portion of the vote away from her if he loses. Not a considerable portion, but enough to make an implication on a 1 to 2 point race. If he takes away these alt-right, trumped up alt-right, meaning they support the president, but they also support him for the wrong reasons, we could see Arizona going to the Democrats, and that's what I think the final map will look like. With a Democratic victory in a state like Arizona with changing demographics, and especially in a blue wave, it seems unlikely now, but if you just look at the candidates, you look at the numbers, it could become increasingly more likely as we reach November. So thank you guys for watching this video. This is the final composition of the 2019 Senate after all the senators are sworn in. Not as much red and blue. Well, not as much when it comes to looking at the map itself. It seems like there's a little bit less, but the final map, 50 Democrats, 50 Republicans, actually 48 Democrats, 50 Republicans, and 2 independents that caucus with the Democrats. Thank you guys for watching this video. Comment down suggestions below, and I'll see you all tomorrow.